Seagram's, 2 parts fun.
Nobody beats the whiz, yeah. Nobody beats the whiz. That's just the way it is. Oh yeah. Nobody beats the whiz, yeah. Nobody beats the whiz. That's just the way it is.
Whistle at night shoes, whistle at night shoes. Nobody beats the whiz.
Nobody beats the whiz.
Nobody beats the whiz.
Nobody beats the whiz.
What's up, Doc?
It's for you, it's for me, it's what the world should be.
It's a place where everyone's a family.
Come along, take a ride. Happiness is on your side, yes, sir.
At Six Flags, smiles grow naturally.
I say pay attention, son.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Web3 Wednesday. I am Shelly Palmer, and you are here with me in New York City, 7:15 Eastern, on a cold day in November, which is unusual because we've only ever had hot days in November so far. Absolutely come on down and join us. Chat is where it's at. I see a bunch of you here right now. You can just put your name in chat. I will say hi to Jim Scott and hello to Joey. Joey's here. I see that. And let's see. Hello. Are you still interested in music composition? Jim Scott asking a question right off the bat. Well, Jim, to tell you the truth, I've been writing music every single day of my life since about age 4 years old. So yeah, still interested, still play every day, still write every single day. That's sort of, you can take music out of the boy, but you can't take the boy out of music or whatever it is. Been in the music business my whole life. So right now we're concentrating on tech and all of the technology in and around advertising. But, you know, I got my start in advertising music, and that's why I just play stuff from my jingle library and my underscore library at the front of this. I don't talk about it very much, but I do like subtly lay it out there. So totally happy to see everybody here. Stream Elements bot running. That's making me sad. Let's make that go away right now. We're going to go to top chat, not live chat, and kill the things that shouldn't be here. David Charmot's welcome, and welcome from Washington State. We're glad to see everybody here. So, what a crazy day. Astori, welcome. Yeah. What a crazy day. If you were, hello, Laura, and hello, Annalise Jensen. Wow. How great to see you, Annalise. That's wonderful. I'll see you here. So yeah, this was, if you if you work for Meta, you had a long day. If you work for FTX, you had a doubly long day. We're going to cover all of this. As you probably know, I think all of you do know, we carry on these conversations on Discord, discord.gg/Shelly Palmer every single day. Please be part of that. If you're feeling like tweeting, I know we're going to talk about Twitter today, at Shelly Palmer is how you do that. Totally happy to have you tweet. And of course, I'll say it again later in the later in the program, but shellypalmer.com/POAP. POAP for Proof of Attendance Protocol Token. You collect 5 of them. You get to come to all our super secret handshake stuff. CES, Mobile World Congress, South by Southwest, the dinners we have in New York, LA, Chicago, and in various cities in Europe and in Asia during the year. You are welcome. Collect your POAPs. It's fun to have. Speaking of the music business, wait, Jim Scott, you're killing me here. Are you the man responsible for owning the various EMU system synthesizers and the Akai sampler? Well, I definitely owned a bunch of EMU systems, emulator. There was the Emulator 2 system, Emulator 1 and Emulator 2 actually back in the day. So yeah, that was me. Had a bunch of them, loved them. Had a couple of Akai's samplers as well, although I was not an Akai fan. I will say that out loud. I definitely was a Synclavier guy. We helped develop the Synclavier at New England Digital, and we put the very first ever tapeless recording studio online in April of 1986 and did the very first ever fully tapeless post-production mix. It was for BMW. The editor was Bobby Smallheiser at First Edition Editorial. The agency was BBDO, if I remember correctly. And we did the entire post-production mix. Was 12 tracks of audio were mixed without any tape whatsoever and then laid back to 1 inch. It was the first time a commercial digital session had ever been done. So, yeah, I've been in it for a while. We did a lot of sampling back in the day. Hello, Bob Sopko and Ettore, welcome, and Sheila, welcome. Annalise, yeah, did you win Powerball? Everybody wants to know that. Annalise is in Los Angeles. Did you? I don't. That would be great if you did. Speaking of the music business, and we need to be speaking of the music business, how many of you are familiar with Holly Plus? This is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. I was just talking about, and Jim, thanks for the plant. I was just talking this second about what my early days were like in the sampling side of the business. I started electronic music as a 12-year-old on a Moog System 2 serial number 002, which my dad was supposed to put in his music store to sell, but I took home and started to work immediately on learning to use it, and then went and computer controlled, replaced the analog amplifiers, filters, and oscillators with integrated circuits, and then got a Motorola 6500 processor and started to computer control those, the voltage control amplifiers, filters, and oscillators, so I could store their information on cassette, digital, on audio cassette tape. It was like a digital signal stored on analog audio cassette tape back in the day. Sounded like a fax machine, but it literally was the information from the random access memory stored, so that when you turned it off, you could bring it back in, because there was no programmable ROM back in those days, and certainly no hard drives that we could get our hands on. From those humble beginnings to the very beginning of digital sampling, to sample to disc, sample to tape, sample to disc, sample to memory, digital audio tape, PCM, digital audio on videotape, then digital audio on audio tape. This was a process that went from about 1979 to 86, when we put the digital studio at 19 West 36th Street online. Okay, last week I saw this. If you haven't seen Holly Plus, I'm going to show her to you now. This is Holly Hurden's Spawning AI, and what you're about to listen to is an AI model singing, breathing, and singing in harmony. It's Dolly Parton's song Jolene, sung by Holly Plus. No humans are involved here. The AI is just singing. Let's have a listen. Okay, you tell me, you just listened. That was an AI model of Holly Hurden singing Jolene in harmony, mimicking human breaths. That's a model. It's not a manipulated recording. It's not a pre-record. It is an AI model listening to an arrangement and singing. Frighteningly good. Now, it's funny that this went down this past week. I don't know how many of you remember the game of Go. This is an ancient Chinese game. It's a board game. It's kind of a version of Capture the Flag and Stratego and Chinese checkers all rolled into one. And what makes Go so interesting for computer scientists and AI modelers of all kinds is that there are roughly 10 to the 170th possible moves at any given point in a game. A chess master may keep 25, 30 moves in his or her head when they are thinking about a game of chess, but anybody thinking about the game of Go has a limitless number of moves. I think the number of atoms in the observable universe is estimated to be somewhere around 10 to the 80th. So there's no computer that's going to compute this. So back in the day, we had Sodol, a 9th Dan Devine Go player. This is March of 2016, up against DeepMind's AlphaGo, a model that was built to play Go. It was trained to play Go. And it was a 4-game-to-1 winning streak for AlphaGo. Although in game 2, I think it was game 2, move 27 changed the world, because that's when we saw a computer kind of think for the first time. Well, just a little while later, in May of 2017, KJ, who was in fact the best Go player in the world, squared off with AlphaGo just about a year later. And the computer won 3 games to zip. When KJ was interviewed after the 3-game winning streak for AlphaGo, he was asked what it was like to play the computer. He said it was like playing a Go god, which was interesting. So you got to a point where nobody was going to be able to beat a computer trained to play Go. Well, in science fiction, as in life, there's always a way. There's an open source program called KataGo, K-A-T-A Go, G-O. You can find it on GitHub, and you can install it, and you can play with it. And it can be trained to play Go against human players in a way that humans cannot win. However, a research paper came out this week that I loved, and I thought it was worth talking about before we get into anything else. The researchers showed that if you played super stupid, you could trick KataGo into losing. And it reminded me of every science fiction movie and TV show I ever saw. Every time Captain Kirk got into trouble with a machine life form from an alien planet, Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy and Captain Kirk would confer about how to beat the machine. And it was always like, it do something superhuman that only a human could do, that a machine would never understand. And this, you find it all the time. Even the end of War Games, the movie, you're playing tic-tac-toe with the machine so that it figures out the only way to win is not to play. I mean, just every sci-fi movie with a scary robot ends where if the humans win, and they're not, it's not a post-apocalyptic or an apocalyptic movie. If the humans win because they figured out a way to do something that only humans could do, the machine could not figure out. Turns out that is a winning strategy, which I just find funny. I just made me smile and thought it was worth it. Now, I've got a question here, and I guess I'm going to have to get to it today. This is from Robin R. Robin, you said Elon is acting batshit crazy, but there was another level. What is it? Okay. Well, Robin R., we're going to get to that in a little bit. I don't think I want to get to that just a second. But yes, there are levels above batshit crazy, pardon my French. But while we're talking about things that aren't batshit crazy, you should know that I do a thing called Tech Stream, a podcast with Seth Everett every week. It drops on Tuesday. If you can listen to it, it's wherever podcasts are sold, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and Amazon podcasts. Wherever you get podcasts, you can find us. Tech Stream with Shelly Palmer, Seth Everett. We talk about pop culture and fun things tech, and we're running the Elon channel at this point. It's all Elon all the time, and that's sort of what life has become. Life has become all Elon all the time. Before we get to our friend Elon, we absolutely have no choice. We have got to talk about the great crypto crisis of 2022. I have never seen a day like today. ETH is at $1,113 as I am recording this. Matic is at 83.7 cents. Bitcoin is also down in the dumps. Where's Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin is at $16,165.82 right this minute. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So let's go over what has happened with, let's go over what happened. So the two players on the screen just now were CZ and Sam Bankman-Friedman. CZ from Binance. Binance was an early investor in FTX. And this goes back several years. But FTX started to grow really nicely. And they were doing a very good job. And I think, you got guys like Steph Curry, Tom Brady, and Giselle. They were big investors. They also cut, I think, relatively large co-marketing deals. And, FTX was out there in a way Binance wasn't, investing in advertising in stadiums. And you saw their name everywhere. They were spending money like it was water. I saw Sam Bankman-Friedman, who everybody calls SBF for obvious reasons, become the most, what do they call him? The most famous fro in crypto, I think, or sort of a play on the most famous bro in crypto. He's got that big bushy hair. Here's you can tell which one is Sam and which one is CZ. So just, Anyway, this goes back now a little bit. Binance has been number one in the largest exchange in the world. FTX is probably number two internationally. FTX US and FTX are different entities. So when we're talking about FTX today, we're talking about the international entity FTX, not the domestic one, which is a KYC exchange that's not available in every state. Although the whole totality of the crypto markets took it in the shorts today. So that's the setup. Sam got out there and started talking a little trashy. So Binance decided to sell its entire stake in FTX. And let's move backwards. Originally Binance took FTT tokens from FTX, about $2 billion worth, as part of a deal that they all made. Now, FTT is the utility token of the FTX exchange, and there's not a lot of liquidity in it. So just keep that in mind for a minute. And Binance and FTX have been for years, I don't want to say frenemies. I mean, I guess that's the best way to think about it. But Binance owns about $2 billion, or has owned up till the other day, about $2 billion of the FTT tokens, which basically is a lot of FTT tokens. They never really had a tremendous amount of trading volume in FTT. Again, it was relatively illiquid. A couple days ago, there was a spat. Now, I don't know either of these guys' feelings about each other personally. I've never heard either one talking trashy about the other. But apparently, this is what everyone's reporting, so I'm going to take it as if everyone's reporting it, it's probably close to true. CZ from Binance believes that SBF is talking shit about him, basically. Specifically to the regulators, which was going to be on the border of tortious interference with Binance's business. And the kind of lobbying that SBF was doing somehow really pissed off the folks at Binance, specifically CZ. So CZ goes on Twitter, CZ_Binance. You can find him on Twitter. He's got something like 6 or 7 or 8 million followers. He's got a lot of followers. And he says out loud on Twitter, as only you can on Twitter, I'm going to dump $2 billion worth of FTT. So, if you're holding FTT, like anybody who's got any of it in their portfolio, no matter who you are, when you hear that from CZ, you go, maybe I should sell, because that doesn't sound like the best news ever. After all, if somebody dumps $2 billion of a token on the market that's not that liquid, the market's not going to absorb that very well, and that's going to crush the price. So like everybody started to panic sell, everybody. And the price of FTT dropped about 20% overnight, roughly 20%. No one's going to stay there. They were watching the ship go down. All of a sudden, there's a thing that Sam Bankman-Friedman started, I think a little bit before he started FTT, called Alameda Research. It's like a hedge fund market maker. And as soon as this comes out, first of all, it was really clear that the Alameda FTX connection was, they were inextricably linked. Alameda had something like 12 billion in assets and roughly, I don't know, 6-7 billion in liabilities. I have to go look that up. But roughly half of what Alameda Research had on their balance sheet was FTT tokens. Last thing in the world they needed was $2 billion worth of FTT getting dumped, literally dumped. So at the end of the day, this, you know how this ends. Alameda really wasn't reporting quite right. They were nowhere near as liquid as they should have been. They didn't have any kind of backup. They came out and they said to everybody, hey, they tweeted, we'll happily, I remember that word, we'll happily, got to go find the tweet, buy all the FTT tokens, I think at like $22. I believe wait, let me look the quote up really quick. Oh, here it is. This is from CZ_Binance. It's from CZ. If you're looking to minimize the market impact on your FTT sales, Alameda will happily buy it all from you today at $22. Ouch. Everyone freaked. Everyone just lost their minds. You just know. Everybody's remembering what happened to Luna back in May. $1.5 billion withdrawals, something like that. And FTX is done. They don't have the money to back this up. Alameda doesn't have the money to back this up. There's like no one has the money to back this up. So CZ comes in and says, "Well, Binance will buy you." And now that we've devastated you, now that we've crushed you, and then at the end of the pending due diligence, and then of course today at the end of the day, Binance walked away from the deal, which is why I think crypto is in a place that no one's seen it in months. It was coming back so nice. You're over $20,000, $20,600, $20,700 for Bitcoin about 2 days ago, and you're at $1,600, high 1600s for ETH. Matic was about $1.30, $1.35. Hell, even the ENS tokens are up around $18 for the domain name services. But ouch, 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 ouch. So we are in an even darker, colder, more frigid, more evil, more unfortunate. Oh my God, are we going to survive this crypto winter? How do we get out of this crypto winter? I don't know, but this was the meme that I saw this afternoon. Binance, let this sink in, and that's CZ's head on Elon's body with the sink, and that's sort of a mashup of the Alameda office's wall and the Twitter office wall, and I just looked at this meme and thought to myself, yeah, let this sink in. This one just gonna leave a mark. There's no way around it. And while we're thinking of things that are awesome as opposed to crazy, go to shellypalmer.com/blockchain, and while you're there, you will find our new Web3 database. I think you can even just type in, you might not even have to type in blockchain. I think we changed it this week. Let me just look real quick at something. I think you can just type in, can you do this? No. We'll get a simpler URL. There's like a Web3 URL that we're putting together. Anyway, at shellypalmer.com/blockchain, scroll down a little bit. There's a button that says blockchain resources or crypto resources page. go there. There's this amazing database. And what we've got in there is like all this Web3 stuff plus all the generative AI stuff you could want. We're really starting to go deep into all the generative AI players, everybody who's in that ecosystem and what it looks like. So just go do some of that, and you'll really get find a lot of free resources there. It's a great database that we're putting together. And obviously, if you've got some contributions to it, please, there's a form there you can fill out. And if you've got a company you think we should know about, let us know. All right. Here's the question of the day. This is Robin R's question, right? Robin asked, she asked the only important question, really, right? Robin's asking me, is there another level? We did Binance. What else do we have here? Yeah. So I think all these other... here's one. Do you have a blue check mark, and will you pay for it if you lose it? Okay. So all these are I'm just looking at these questions. It's all Elon all over the place. Thank you for asking them all. Elon's thermonuclear name and shame. I almost don't know where to begin. This Elon, honestly, is the gift that keeps on giving. First and foremost, he owns this company outright, so he can do whatever he wants. And he is doing whatever he wants. It's just that simple. I woke up this morning, and in the morning I had a gray check mark. And then when I came back in the afternoon to go read some tweets, I had a blue check mark again. Originally, I thought it was just the monitor I was looking at was in dark mode, but it wasn't when I went to check it. So, because when it's in dark mode, it's not gray like that anyway. So, because everything else changes colors too. So, no, it was just they actually went into this thing where they had a two check mark system, a gray check mark and a blue check mark. The blue check marks you'd pay for, and the gray ones would be your official, whatever that means, check mark. All that nonsense went away after noon today. They're now saying that it'll be $8 a month. You will, and Elon's calling it the Great Leveler, and you will get a blue check mark for $8 a month. But he hasn't decided how you will verify who you are. Well, you need a credit card, obviously, if you're paying $8 a month. So at least you'll be verified to have a valid credit card. Some people think this is awesome. Some people think that it is the Great Leveler. People who use Twitter as a communications tool for a community of interest. A lot of engineers just don't care. They've got 40, 50,000 followers. They're just using Twitter like a communications tool. Okay, that's all good. For the vast majority of people, Twitter isn't that at all. It's a broadcast medium, and a thing called the 1-9-90 rule applies. I don't know if you have heard of that. 1-9-90 rule is 1% create, 9% contribute, and 90% are just readers or the audience. And that 1-9-90 rule is it's not a hard, fast, rule of law. It's what most social media sites find themselves falling into, that somewhere on the curve, the 1-9-90 rule. So, of course, it's the 1% who contribute you would want to have verified, so you'd know who they were. You wouldn't want bots with credit cards to be able to, people with stolen credit cards or even with valid credit cards to just be able to stand up a whole bunch of bots at $8 a month. Because if you're spending millions of dollars for a misinformation campaign, that's what you're going to invest. Do you think the $8 a month is in any way, any kind of deterrent? It isn't. So we'll see what he does there. He fired a whole bunch of people I know very well. Full disclosure, Twitter was a client for years and years. They have fired everyone we work with there, so I don't know if they're still a client. Maybe they are. To Elon's credit, he has reached out to a whole bunch of my friends who are in the advertising business and earnestly tried to understand what it will take to get the advertisers to come back. The thing he did that I don't understand, he had J.P. Matthew and Leslie Berland and of course Sarah Personette. Sarah Personette being one of the most trusted advertising executives ever. She was running Twitter's agency partnerships, and she was the face of Twitter to big advertisers. They parted ways, whether she resigned, as they said, or he fired her, or they just decided it wasn't going to work out, or whatever. She's not there. So they took the entire team that faces the advertising industry and sent them packing. They also took a vast majority of the content moderation and the AI modelers who are working on the algorithm and content moderation away. They're gone. They did ask for some of them to come back. I don't know how many people are really coming back. I wouldn't think a lot. There's a lawsuit in California. Apparently you need 60 days notice to fire somebody in California. I didn't know that. I'm not a labor lawyer, but apparently that's not what they did, was not cool. And now people are afraid. One of my friends texted me yesterday and said that they're all scared that if they don't go back, if they've been invited back, this particular person, engineer, was invited back. And he wrote me and he said he doesn't want to go back, but if he doesn't, he's scared that then they'll have grounds to fire him and he won't get the 3-month severance that they were promising. It is a hot mess. It's that simple. It is a hot mess. Please, while we're doing this, don't forget to put your questions in chat. And remember that we are doing this week, like we do every week, Shelly Palmer POAPs, Proof of Attendance Protocol tokens. So don't forget, go to shellypalmer.com. If you collect 5 of these, you get all kinds of special perks in the Palmer Group world. And we've got CES coming up and the Possible Conference at the Fontainebleau in Miami coming up in April. So there's going to be a lot of events going on, and you'll be welcome at those events if you collect enough POAPs. So collect some POAPs. There is so much going on this week. I'm reluctant to just start randomly talking about things. The generative AI, literally the generative AI progress over the last 6 months has stopped me in my tracks. I have never been this excited ever about technological advancement that with the potential to change how people spend their days. As we started at the beginning of this hour, talking about my past musical career, which really isn't my past musical career. It's my current musical career. I just don't talk about it. The first thing I did was try to make my life easier by taking a little Motorola 6500 processor and a few component parts and from Radio Shack, breadboard them up, and try to be into a way just to save time. First of all, the oscillators, because they were analog oscillators, drifted. The digital oscillators didn't drift quite as much. It didn't sound exactly the same, but they didn't drift quite as much. The filters definitely didn't drift as much, and the amplifiers were much more stable too. So here we built some tools to just make my life a little easier. And every single time we had an advancement, when we put the first digital audio recording workstation, digital audio workstation together, and the first fully tapeless recording environment, there was no rewind time. In the old days, if you can imagine this, when you had 8 or 12 tracks of music and dialogue and sound effects to mix onto either a film or to a final video, you use these things called dubbers, and they were mechanically locked together. The sprocket holes on the film were matched to sprocket holes on what's known as full coat or mag. Mag was audio tape fused to film with sprocket holes, and you put it in a device called a dubber, which had a recording head on it, and it went forward and backward, but it went at either 1 time or 2 times maximally the speed that a film would go. So if you were playing a 24 frame per second film forward, you'd either play it that way backward, or you might be able to double it up. Some of the dubbers went a little faster in rewind, but not while the heads were engaged, not while the sprockets were engaged. So to keep everything in sync, if you had 12 tracks, you mechanically locked these dubbers together, literally with a a rod that went between all of them and locked all of the servos together. Later on, the more sophisticated ones had some electronically controlled servo motors. I'm telling you this because we learned to mix backwards to save time. You were spending $300, $400, $500, up to $1,000 an hour in the 70s and early 80s in a recording studio, a post-production audio suite, and you had to rewind, and the rewind was slow. Why not learn to mix backwards? So while some people would rewind at double speed, which you really couldn't mix at, a lot of us learned to mix forward and also mix going backwards. You actually doubled your efficiency if you could listen to something backwards and mix it. That may sound crazy to you, but these are the things that we were had to learn to do in order to be efficient, financially efficient in a production. The thing that was most mind-boggling about the first digital audio workstation and the first very tapeless studio that we put online was there was no rewind time. So you could rewind a videotape very quickly back then. The video machines were, for a 30-second spot, it was instant. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds to rewind, and then the tape would rack up and get itself into a position where it would be able to sync going forward to whatever else you needed to sync it to, mostly using SMPTE timecode. But there was no rewind time in the audio. You pressed a button and the audio started. By itself, this was an insane time saver. You could actually do a mixed touch-up. You could get to a part of you could put a bookmark in. And while the videotape was rewinding, you could go to a particularly tricky part of the mix and be goofing around there, waiting for the video, the 10 seconds it needed to rewind. 30% of the hour was saved. It was a number like that. 40%, the productivity exploded. I can find you hundreds of examples in my world where we went from things that required dozens of patch cords, writing up all kinds of craziness, having to pull patch cords. And Studio A at Creative Audio Recording Studios, which is our recording facility at 19 West 36th, in Studio A on the main console, we had over 512 patch points. They had to be written down. What were they? Because as sure as I'm sitting here, a client was going to do a mix and then call you 2 days later and say, we have to do a remix. And you had to set the room up exactly the same way. And all the signal processing was outboard. When we started with digital audio workstations and started to pioneer them, the signal processing became modeled, and then we started to digitally signal process, or DSP, and all of a sudden there were no more patch cords, there were no more outboard compressors, limiters, any kind of processor you could think of, delay lines of all kinds, echoes, reverbs, whatever you wanted to do, you could model digitally, and all of a sudden the world changed. Fast forward, now everything we do is going to be done human-machine partnered with a machine that not only will ease our burden from an organizational perspective, but actually co-think with us. Cognitive non-repetitive partners that are non-human. That's precisely what that's what Holly Plus is. Holly Plus is a singer. Holly Plus will sing in the background. That model is trained. You want female vocals in the background? You basically say to it, I need you to sing tight 3-part harmony, church style. That's what it'll do. So if you know what tight church style harmony is and know how to describe it, you don't need to know what I know, which is how to write it. If you hear it in your head kind of, or at least you kind of think it would make a good combination with what you're writing, you just try it. You don't have to go listen to 10 gospel records and then try to understand how they're doing upper extracted triads, blah, 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 blah. You don't need none of that. Oh, I'm going to put the third in the bass. You need none of that. You need to know none of that. You need to know what it is. Whole new level of creativity from a whole group of people who just have interesting ideas but have never had the skills or tools to realize their dreams or their visions. Imagine how explosive creativity is going to become when someone who says, well, I'm not musically talented, can be musically talented. Well, I don't really know how to draw. Do you know how to describe what you see in your mind's eye? Do you know how to make me feel what you feel by describing it to your AI partner? I'm so excited by this. Scared by it also, because there's an immense capacity for terrible. All kinds of bad things are going to happen. Deep fakes of every kind. You're going to be wondering what's real and what's fake from an audio perspective, from a video perspective, from a still perspective. Writing prose, you're not going to have to. It'll write business letters. As now, it's writing business letters. The writing for news articles. You probably haven't read a sports article, a short sports article about a team winning a game in the midseason that's written by a person in 5 years. It's all written by a machine. Almost every financial snippet that's about a filed financial document like an S1 is written by a machine, because it can be. It's basically taking a bunch of data and writing about it. So-and-so had this much earnings, and then this was their blah, blah, and this is compensation for executives. It's just taking it off the form and putting it in sentence form so it reads like a human could read it. That's been going on for a long time. Starting to get a lot better, and starting to get a lot better a lot faster than we ever really thought. So Doug R. is asking this question, and I think it's the right question. Is generative AI also a danger? I don't know if danger is the right word. And not that it won't be dangerous. Of course it'll be dangerous, because it's a technology that can be misused. So anything that is misused, or used for harm, it's dangerous. The people make it dangerous. I don't think the tool by in and of itself is dangerous. What I think is important for us to understand, and I would want you to think about it this way. I will tell a very embarrassing story that kind of sums up what I think about the danger of AI. We're the ones who are dangerous. We're going to make this. We're going to make the problems for ourselves. At the very, 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 very beginning of voicemail in corporate, not answering machines, which have been around since the dawn of time. I mean, I had answering machines when I was a kid. Digital voicemail that you could forward around the office quite easily. Playback and or keep forever. I could not get a particular person on the phone. This was a sales guy at a client company of mine. He was standing in the way of a project that I was on deadline for his corporate peer, who was the head of marketing and advertising. And I kept calling him, and he was ghosting me. I could not get him on the phone. And I finally left this guy a message. And this goes back about 35 years. And I let this guy have it so hard. Lots of colorful metaphors. It was brutal. Nowhere near as brutal as the next morning when my client called me up and she said, "Wow, that's really something." I was like, "What?" She goes, "The voicemail you left for so-and-so." I'm like, "Huh? How'd you hear it?" He goes, "Everyone's heard it." Everyone. She goes, "Oh, he forwarded it to everyone in the company. You're famous now." Yeah. That's me. Arrogant, egotistical, self-important. Wanted to get up this guy's ass, and I went for it. Didn't really think it all the way through back then. That's going to happen to everybody who uses this technology. Everybody. Not the same way, but in another stupid way. A way that's just as stupid, and it'll be what it's going to be. So yeah, it's going to be dangerous in different ways, but it's also going to be liberating and amazing, and it's going to literally change everything, because it's going to change the way we work and how we behave. And as you've heard me say a million times, technology is meaningless unless it changes the way we behave. Please do not forget your POAP, because if you don't have them, you can't get all the cool stuff that comes with them. Find it in your heart somewhere. to help the people out in Ukraine. They are still under attack every single day. This is a site that leads to a NBCU site where their corporate responsibility group has vetted the charities there. Your money will get exactly where it's supposed to go at exactly the right time. If we were in their circumstances, we would need them to do this too. So please, if you can. I will be back during the day, I believe, next Wednesday. We will be at 12:15, right after noon. Back during the afternoon because that's the time I'll have to do it. So next week. So until then, I want to wish you all the very, very best. This, as you know, is my favorite time of the week, and you guys make it super awesome. Thanks to everybody for being here. If you want to email me, Shelly@ShellyPalmer.com. I am opening up my class at Syracuse this coming Tuesday night. So if you want to audit, I'm the professor of advanced media in residence at the Newhouse School of Public Communications, and I teach new media business management on Tuesday nights. It's a 6:30 p.m. to 9:15 class, and I'm opening it up to friends and family, if you will. So, but you'll have to email me to get credentials if you want to come to the class. And it's a master's class. It's a class taught it's in the master's program in what's called the New Media Business Management. So if you are interested, we're going to cover Web3 pretty deeply. So if you're a Web3 lover, and this is Web3 Wednesday, so if you're into Web3, Tuesday night from 6:30 to 9:30, I'm going to be teaching my class about Web3. So you're more than welcome. Just send me an email. Folks, thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay safe, and let's look forward to seeing you all either Tuesday or Wednesday night or both next week. Take care.